Hello and welcome to Think Design Work Smart YouTube channel. I'm here with Carlos Ble, who's
Hello.
hello. Um, I think we've met a few years back at Software Craft Testing Conference in Germany, right? And then we've met once more in Tenerife when I was on holiday, and it's where you live on the holiday island. I really what I think I really enjoy and why I invited you is because it's always very nice to have conversations about our passion around software and a lot more, many other things. So, what are you doing now? What's your current focus now?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Adi, it's great to be here in this channel. So thank you for your time and consideration. So right now, I'm very, very busy. Even though you may think that because things are frozen, so there are no new opportunities coming. But we had a community before the pandemic. So in January, we started a community on how to use IT, the technology, to build things that are good for society or the environment. And then all of a sudden, the COVID came up, and then more people joined. And now we are joining forces with more people in Spanish-speaking people on the internet. And we are helping some people like some doctors. We're helping communities of volunteers, people that are psychologists or social workers. So this thing that is happening is very sad and very hard and tough. But on the other hand, we are discovering a lot of possibilities on how to help and what things we can build with the technology and connecting with new people. So we are very busy and also looking forward to what's going to happen in the upcoming months and what can we do to work for the society and the people in need. So it's been a very challenging and an exciting time.
Yeah, I saw that when I was in Tenerife. You have this very nice sense of society and community, and I really appreciate that. I think you don't find that in many places or in many cities, let's say. It's something really special, and also when I visited a bit the software people communities rather, I think I saw that a lot more strongly than in many other places.
Oh, interesting. You mean in general when you were talking to people here?
Yes, exactly. So I feel like there's a lot more to care about the community than what you'd see in a big city where everybody's taking care about their job home, and that's all, you know.
Yeah, I would say that the community here is not that different to the ones I've seen in other places, but because there are less people here. So for example, in the island, we have 1 or 2 or 3 meetups going on, and they don't happen every week or even every month. Sometimes we have a coding dojo every 2 or 3 months or so. So when that happens, people are really waiting for it, and we can easily get to gather 30 people or 40 people or 20 people. So yeah, the community is very well, it's very cohesive in the sense that we know each other. We'd like to go for drinks after the meetup, and so it's a good and good group of people.
Yeah, that was very nice. I think when I was there, that almost everybody went to dinner after, and that's something that I really appreciate, because I think that's another part of the learning. You learn something when you are there in a workshop, in a dojo, in a whatever learning format, but then you learn a lot more.
What I see when I go to Madrid or Barcelona, where people are also very nice, is that they have one meetup or many meetups in one day. And every day there are many happening, like in London. So people rush to the place, staying there for some time or the whole thing, but then they rush to home or to other place.
Yes.
People are very busy.
Exactly. So, but in a way, I think they are spoiled. It's the same in Bucharest. There's so many things, so it's almost you cannot choose sometimes. So it's very difficult, and it's a paradox in a way. People appreciate less because they have more.
So talking about what I'm doing recently, 2 or 3 months ago, I started my podcast. I had one podcast like 10 years ago, doing interviews to people. But now I wanted to do something like a monologue. Currently, there are 7 episodes, and it's all myself talking, only myself. But that was inspired in the new generation, the generation of developers that I see in the social networks. That often I see them confused in things like how do I train myself? What are my duties in this job? How do I cope with the pressure and things like that? And especially in the Spanish speaking world, there are not so many resources as in English. So I wanted to do something in Spanish. Also in Spain, we don't, in general, we don't speak very good English. So people have a hard time listening to podcasts in English. So I wanted to do Spanish, and it's going quite well. I deliver one episode every 2 or 3 weeks, and they are very short, like between 20 and 30 minutes, and I'm having fun with this. So what I'm doing is that when I have conversations with young people or junior people, or even some veterans, and we talk about things that are recurring concerns that are popping up every now and then, like who is responsible for my learning or for my career, and things like that. I write down the ideas in Evernote, and then when I have a bunch of ideas, I create a little script and then run the podcast.
Yeah, I think that's always inspirational to see what are the problems that people have, and then try to help them. And it's true. I think there are some resources in English, but maybe not enough on this topic that you're mentioning.
There are some good ones. Like I'm subscribed to, I think, more than 20 podcasts now, because I used to listen to a lot of them. And there are some good podcasts, and perhaps we can put in the notes of the conversation here. I can send them to you later.
Yeah, that would be great.
But definitely the language barrier is tough for many people here. And if on top of that, if you add the accent, my strong Spanish accent when I'm talking English and the other things, that makes it even harder.
So, coming back a bit to craft, what is your current involvement in the communities? Because you mentioned a lot the communities and dojos and everything that's going on. So I always enjoyed communities, no matter where they are from. It can be a Java user group, a craft community, or a .NET community, or even like sometimes I go to project management communities. So I think you can learn a lot from all of these places. How what's your involvement with this in Tenerife now?
Right now, in the last year, I'd say my motivation are the young developers that have been working for a couple of years, and they want to have leaders or people that inspire them, because in the industry, because it's so young industry, today still people don't know how to behave in many circumstances, or how to build a career. So when you give them something, even something very small, of part of your time, a conversation, a coffee, they seem to value that a lot. So by giving part of my time, I get in return way more than I give. So it's very enriching, and it's very fulfilling, and I'm enjoying that a lot. So what I'm trying to do is to be consistent in the coding dojo. So we used to go to meet in person. Now we're gonna start doing that online, and to be consistent with the apprentices that we have. So we are taking apprentices from, well, not apprentices in the sense that they are gonna work for our company in the future, but it's just people that are finishing the degree in computer science or the higher education, and they, in order to get the certificate, they need to spend some time working at a company, so that the company kind of tell the teachers that they are doing well, and then with that they get a certificate. And we are taking these young people with us, and to giving them books and videos, and do more programming with them. Now we are doing open source projects with them, and this is very fulfilling experience. So I'm having a great time with it.
Yeah, that sounds really great. I think giving back to community, maybe for people that haven't done that, is often misconsidered, and it's considered more like you're wasting some time, but in fact you're investing so much in people, but it's coming back to you more times. And typically when I talk with, well, not even junior developers, because what you're saying is students, it's that you learn so much for when trying to explain something. You learn what you don't know, in fact.
Yeah, and you get to see many things that when you know where they are coming from, the institution they are coming from, they all have the same ideas in mind. Like the function should have a single return point, and I have to explain them why this makes sense in some contexts and why it doesn't make sense in other contexts. And it's interesting how they you see awakenings in them. But even in myself, I see bigger awakenings, because, as you say, when you explain things, you realize more things and you understand better how the people work, how we work as humans. So you learn more than you teach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how is the craft community and the involvement? Because your involvement in all of this, have you done anything new or anything interesting?
Well, the interesting here is happening, I would say, more in the JavaScript community.
Mm-hmm.
Because now one of the biggest events in Spain is happening in Tenerife, thanks to an incredible group of people that are organizing the event, and there are people coming from all over the world.
Nice.
With some sessions running in Spanish and some sessions in English. Because of that, what I'm doing is trying to support that group. And also there is a brilliant community of women in tech, which is called Ada Love Dev.
Yeah.
And it's all people from here. And last year they organized their first conference. And so my focus locally here is to try to support those communities. And encourage people to talk in those communities on topics related to craftsmanship. So not only libraries and frameworks and and new tools, which is very common. But also, go there and if you can explain people how to test this code or how to do TDD with this new technology or refactoring. And this is happening. People are brave and are going there and explaining how they do this. And for me, it's very rewarding to see them, growing and creating these things. It's fantastic.
Yeah, well, now with the current situation, probably it will be difficult to organize this thing. That's why now we tried to go remote with our events, and we organized until now an ITCAN conference that was about architecture in the cloud. And if we saw that we could do it, of course, with difficulties, because doing something like this, live streaming with people from another corner of the world can be difficult. But we saw that it works, so that's why now we try to organize the second ITCAN conference online, digital edition. That will be about raising the bar. And I know that that's what you were talking about, and you will be a speaker there as well. That's one of my focuses always. I think it was one of my focus even before I was a software developer or programmer or trainer or anything. I wanted to learn, basically, all sorts of stuff. So in this moment, how would you say that your current understanding of this idea of raising the bar is in software development?
The topic that comes to my mind very often is how to use a technology for something that is really useful for humanity. Not only useful to make money, which is necessary to make money, but how can we create something that is good for the future and not bad in the long term? Like how we are polluting the environment, and depending on how we use the technology, we're going to have one future or a different future. And that's my goal: how to work on things that are going to have a positive impact, where the purpose is very big and very fulfilling for the people working on that. That's what I'm thinking. And not every software is good to write. I know that every project is nice. And how can we add some ethics on this profession? Like doctors have their codes, or lawyers, but we are very young and we don't have things like that. How, like in the case of the Volkswagen scandal last year, I'm not really very informed about what happened. I don't know what the real situation was, but this is a good food for thought. So what should we do in these situations? Also taking in consideration that there are a lot of positions as a developer. It's not that we are unemployed and looking for jobs. So we are very lucky, and so we are in a privileged position. And on top of that, if you add we are, in my case, I'm a white male, and the things that definitely a privilege. I'm trying to see how can I use this privilege to help other people and to create opportunity for other people.
The thing that one of the things that you mentioned was ethics and how to add this. I think this is a recurrent topic, and we hear about it more and more, especially after cases like this. But there were also other cases where even software programmers went to court for some things they did. So I don't think yet there isn't enough energy now to define such an ethics code, but I think some of us feel it, others don't. right? And it's kind of difficult to create now a kind of a code like this when you have, I don't know, how was it, every 3 years or something like that, the software development or employees in software development double.
Yeah.
So how can you sustain an ethical code? I think there isn't, or there aren't many industries where you have that much new people coming over.
It's true. Yeah, rather than building a thing that is valid for everyone, I think that's not going to work. I would rather think of how can we learn about human, about philosophy, psychology, social affairs. How can we learn about learning? Because my theory is that because we have to spend so much time learning about technology and methodology. So if you want to be updated, you have to spend a lot of time just learning about programming language and frameworks and libraries. So it's very hard to learn about history, for example, but it's very important. So my theory is that if we had more knowledge about these disciplines, psychology or history or politics, we could take better decisions without having a concrete or specific book on ethics that we had to follow, something like that.
Yeah. So you're saying that I'm a software developer and I should read about philosophy? That's outrageous. You know, I have this answer quite often when from many programmers. What do you do in this situation? When
So
you have
they say that that's bullshit or something like that?
Yes. I mean, I'm a programmer. I work with a computer. I don't care about people's feelings. That's a quote.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't know how to answer that question.
Yeah.
But I think if you're in a position where people see you as an example of a leader, someone they want to follow in some respect, then it's easier that they are going to listen to you.
Yeah.
And also,
That's for
depending
sure.
on how you talk to them, it's going to be easier. What I learned recently in the old MBA course that I took last year online was that if you want people to change, you have to draw for them a picture of the future that is better than the present. So the only way that they are going to want to try something new is because you tell them that the future is going to be better for them. So it's all about how you tell the story and how you create something that is going to be appealing for the people.
Yeah, that's for sure. But you know, one of the most difficult things that I think anyone who works anywhere and to understand is that you cannot change people. And it's very difficult to almost impossible to convince someone to do something. Even sometimes if they want to, it's very difficult. So I think it's very important that we have communities, and communities are made of people, so people who care about these things. And we go a lot more than just the new framework, the new language, because I think software is maybe 20-30% technical and the rest is human, right?
Something that is working well is when people want to know what is a senior developer or what is a team lead. Some people are asking, how can I become a senior, or how can I be a good team leader for my team? And then this is what my opportunity to say, it's good if you know some coaching techniques, some psychology, emotional intelligence, things like this. So go and read about non-violent communication, for example. Get the book and see the videos, and that will give you a lot of value and tools to be a good senior developer.
Yeah, so senior developer can mean a few things, like in Spanish, senior development, that you're a guy, can mean that you're old, you're a senior, or it can mean that you're wise, so you know more than just the coding part. But I find it that especially in enterprise software, it's the one with you're old, unfortunately.
Yeah. Also, leadership is something that we know very little about, and it's very important. So recently, what I'm recommending to people that want to be good managers is to learn about leadership and to read people like Patrick Lencioni or John Maxwell or some other people that are creating really terrific books and podcasts that you can listen.
Yeah, so all these aspects are very important for raising the bar, right? It's not just about writing better code, being faster on the keyboard, knowing better your language. And I still feel that people don't spend enough time on this. What's your feeling?
You mean with the hard skills?
No, people don't spend enough time on learning about psychology, about
the soft skills, yeah.
About working with people, and that's why. What are your feelings
that's
on
true.
this?
And that has to do a lot with the environment. If they are in a company where physically the position of the tables are cubicles with small walls and things like that, the communication is not going to happen. So the whole culture of the company is going to impact on how the people react and the relationships between them. So as soon as you start introducing pairing sessions and mob sessions, and the culture of the company or the group or the community is that everybody can talk and nobody is a fool, and you can ask any question anytime. And we are all here to learn and contribute. These things, when that happens in the culture, everything is possible. Like people naturally is gonna be interested in reading about nonviolent communication or leadership. So I think it's when the culture is about learning and people understand that the important thing is about learning and doesn't matter what you learn, then this is a good place for this to flourish.
Mm-hmm. So quite often I say that, programming can be social. So all of these things that you mentioned, like mob programming, pair programming, working in a team, that's social programming. You can have, in a simplistic way, two types of programming. The cowboy programming, that you're alone with yours changing code on the server or whatever, only you know what's going on. And then social programming, I think, maybe with few exceptions of pet projects where it's just you, most of it is social programming.
That's true. It's not bad to work on your own when you have to. For example, if you are the number of people is odd, or if you for some reason need to do something on your own. So yeah, it's not have to be all the time pairing or all the time alone. So a good combination could be good as well.
Yeah, that's why I think social is a good term, because sometimes you're with with friends, sometimes you're home and doing your stuff, but social means that you care about the others and you meet sometimes you don't. Sometimes you prefer to be all alone. But if we go a bit deeper into psychology, there's this typical concern that you have people that are more open to this type of working naturally, because I mean, typically I'm an introvert. I worked a lot to try to go more and to not. I don't think I could ever be an extrovert, but it's not that tiring. But others are extroverts, so these social aspects are very natural for extroverts. But for introverts, it's quite difficult, and I feel that almost nobody cares about this. It's like it's that evil guy in the corner there. He doesn't want to work with us, and he's blaming instead of understanding that it's different. It's okay to be different.
Yeah, yeah. Very often when people express feelings like that are, let's say, negative feelings, they are coming up because they are afraid.
Yeah.
Many times. So, or they are feeling anxiety. So when you understand what people are feeling, then you can work on it and create an atmosphere where people feel empowered, and also with the right to say, now today I feel like I'm joining you, or today I don't feel like doing so. So it's coming back to how people feel and what they fear, what they dream about. It's not very simple. Very complex.
Yes, exactly. So it's a whole new universe, and as you mentioned, if you want to be a good senior programmer or a leader, or I don't know, manager, whatever, I think you need to know at least parts of these things. And unfortunately, I don't see that quite often. So the manager is that person who was very good technically and now he's older, so now it's a manager.
Yeah, that's true.
So some part of my work was trying to teach them how to be more human, I'd say, how to learn all these things, and to help to grow their teams.
Mm.
It's not an easy job to do.
Yeah. I've been reading recently a lot about anxiety because it's something I suffer from, different kinds. And so I've been reading about neuroscientific books on the subject. I'm a good psychologist. I'm listening to podcasts, and I'm learning that in the end we are animals. Part of our brain is very ancient, from the Paleolithic age, and we behave like animals today most of the time. And to realize how the brain works and how we behave, that opens up the door for new behaviors and new ways of relationship. So it's very interesting, and no one tells you this when you are in college or in the high school.
Yeah,
It's very interesting.
It's something probably very far away. So I think any teacher would say that's for doctors, that's for psychologists, that's for not for you. But yeah, I think it's very important to know how we function. So you're saying that all these things, like understanding yourself, understanding the society, and understanding the team that you work in, all of these are part of raising the bar. It's not just the technical stuff. That's your.
Yeah, definitely. By working on yourself is the way you can help other people improve or just be useful for other people. So first of all, you have to change yourself before trying to change others. And this is something that we sometimes forget. And very often in the discussions, when you try to change people, it's about a winner and a loser. So you are right, they are wrong. You have to prove them wrong, and the other way around. And the thing is that no one wants to be the loser. So that's why you don't change the people with this approach, because that will mean that they have to be the losers and they will have to accept that they are losers. I mean, in the thing that in their rational, in the thing they are thinking, and that does not want to work. I want to be the winner, not the loser. So from the time you start changing the strategy and thinking that, trying to understand how the people are thinking and what's their view of the world and what are they feeling, and then you can start creating a common ground where you can get into a deeper conversation and try to find what are the real points in common that you have and how to build something, a new path for both of you, because nobody has the truth.
So you're talking about a win-win situation where everybody learns from each other. And I saw that very experienced coaches, not necessarily, I'm also talking about coaches in software, but also like the profession of coaching. A lot of coaches say that with every patient or with every individual you interact with, you also learn something and also you change as a coach, not the other. So that's the attitude you should have. And I think that applies to any type of learning, coaching, mentorship. If you're very arrogant and you think this is how it should be done, you won't get through.
Exactly. You have to be very patient, and you cannot reach a mass to change their opinion. If you are with somebody with her journey or his journey to mastery or evolution as a person or professional, you need to invest a lot of time. It's not a couple of sessions. It's probably years with working together and learning together, and you cannot do that with thousands of people. And this is why recently I'm changing the way I behave in social networks. So last week I shut down my Facebook account. Don't have a Facebook anymore after I think it was 10 years or something. And then on Twitter I decided that just gonna use it for as a publication, as kind of RSS to publish a new post or a new podcast. Nothing more, nothing personal, and I'm not gonna spend time on the social network, because what I'm realizing is that it's not true social activity. It's not really fulfilling. It
Quite the opposite sometimes.
kicks my anxiety because there's so much information that you want to follow and you can't. And my strategy is now turning towards spending more quality time with friends. So that, let's say some years ago, I wanted to have or reach a lot of people, but that doesn't change anything. Like if you have I don't know, 1 million followers and you tweet, that's not gonna change their mind. That's not gonna change what they do. Only by spending time with people and working together is that you are gonna have some chance.
So you're saying
impact on the people.
You're saying you chose quality over quantity, basically.
Yeah. And also to be more precise with my words to people and try to shut up more often, to listen more to people.
Yeah, another very important quality in every human being, listen more and talk less. I think on the other side, because we talked about introverts and extroverts, that's very difficult for extroverts to shut up and listen more. For introverts, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
So it's not easy for anyone.
Yeah. Sorry, Eddie.
It's not easy for anyone.
Yeah, and that's a good thing that everyone has to make an effort. And what I've read is that recently is that to be an introvert is something that you cannot change, and it's something that is not bad because it's not bad at all. We need the all kind of people because the introvert could be the one in the, for example, in the more programming session, could be the one thinking ahead, thinking of the architecture issue that we're gonna have or the design. So we need all kind of people. If you are talking all the time, you are not thinking, or probably not deep thinking. So we need a mixture of the two things. So being an introvert is necessary as a part of the team. If we really believe in diversity in the teams, being an introvert is nothing bad at all.
Yeah, exactly. So you need just to respect people who are more quiet and just understand how they function. There's that very beautiful book written by Susan Cain. It's called Quiet. It's about introvert, and it's a bit about her history about being an introvert and how she tried to be an extrovert but couldn't, and then she started making a lot of research, like very deep research in social science and psychology, and then she published this book. So it's also about her. She has also some TED Talks. It's very nice. So I think if you read that book about introverts, it's very eye-opening about how introverts function.
Yeah. And you could be an introvert in one situation or in one with one group of people, and to be an extrovert in a different situation.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So this is what she's saying as well, and this is really research that sometimes so the main difference basically between introverts and extroverts is that introverts lose energy when they're social, while extroverts gain energy when they're social. So that's why introverts need time alone, and extroverts, when they are alone, they don't feel well. But so starting from here, introverts can be extroverts when they feel safe. So that's why we go back to to what you said about having a diverse group of people, but also having this safe space to talk and to discuss.
Sure.
It is very
Absolutely.
important for introverts to have a safe space, and then they start being more open, or they lose less energy when they're social.
Yeah, and that takes time. Like for someone who is, let's say, very, very shy of talking in the mob, they probably need more time to feel safer or safe enough to talk more in the mob session. So that's something that we need to understand as well. That we as people need some time to grow and to develop. And it's about seeing the potential of the people, and see how can that we match the opportunities in not only the people that you meet today, but who are going to be in the future in 1 year, in 2 years. And this is something very interesting. Like I've seen developers that have said to me, I want to change my profession. I don't want to be a developer anymore because I had this bad experience and in this company, and they talk to you about the culture of the company, and that was very dark and very, very. It's a culture where you want to be, and it's sad that these people want to leave just because they had a bad experience.
Yeah, that's for sure a bad thing, but it's also how things are now. So there are these types of organizations. Maybe it's also a bit of luck where you find your first job because you don't know what to search for. That's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to say to these people, if they are having this situation, that every company could be different, or every community. You may have a community in your town that is about some programming language where people are not very that open as you expect, or welcoming, or warm, but then you can move to another community or other company, and they could be totally different worlds.
My idea about software is that we work a lot with abstract things. So our job is to try to shape something that's natural into something that's more abstract. And we work with abstractions, we work with concepts. So when having all this in our minds, it's essential to understand that you're human. So most of the software that we produce, it's about being human, and it's for humans. Unfortunately, in my experience, school and universities don't take this into account.
And that's true. The same here. The same that I see when you go to the computer science, you take the degree, and whatever name it's called in your city or in your country, you learn how to talk to machines. But you learn very little on how to talk to people.
But also something else, like how to analyze a problem. So I don't know, I would like maybe to know your thoughts about this, but the most difficult thing to learn that I observe and the teams I work with is abstract thinking, working in short increments, and then working iteratively.
Do you have a some plan or suggestions to work in that, and an idea?
You mean if I have plans on working on this topic, or how I help the specific teams?
How could we change the universities or teaching institutions to work more on this stuff?
Oh yeah, of course. Unfortunately, at least here in Bucharest, universities are not at all open to these topics. So it's like a wall, and that's all. But I think there are universities that starting doing this. There are, like I heard in Belgium and in UK, and maybe in other places that I didn't hear of. But it's important to understand that we work with abstractions and we need to iterate on them. We are way too used from school and from mathematics, physics, chemistry, and then going to software, that we have the solution to the problem. It's the solution. And we reach the solution and that's all. While in the real world, you don't know what's the solution. And you need to go there in steps. And it's not like from here to there. It's not a line. It's always like going left, right, back, forward. And that's the iterative part where you learn. That's what I would do. So I would work with students to understand this in very practical terms, like creating something to understand that you need to work in iterations and not big bang everything at once.
And is this subject inside one of your training courses?
I think it's in all of them in one way or another. I mean, when I talk about understanding the user, people who use the system, I talk about incremental work. When I talk about writing software, typically I approach incremental work either if it's test-driven development, or it's clean code, or it's refactoring. Everything it's incremental. When I talk about creating a business plan, it's incremental. When I talk about creating a list of features that you want to do, again, it's incremental, and it's social, because even business people don't understand, hey, it's not me and my idea. It's me. I have an idea, and I need to iterate and talk to all these people and to understand their opinion, and then it's going to be a better idea. And all of these are iterations. So I think I may be a bit obsessed with this, but I think this is how the world works in a complex environment.
Yeah, it. So coming back to the university and how to work with them, something that is working for us is that because we are taking students to do their part of their subject with us, the time they have to spend with companies. We have been doing this for I think 3 or 4 years already with 2 universities. What happens is that students are happy with the journey, the experience, and they tell that to the teachers. And because of that, we are kind of earning a reputation, and we are helping them because they need companies for the students to spend some months, and we provide that, but we provide that in a way that is not, say, cheap workers for our company, but about learning and feeling what it is to be in a company where the environment is about collaboration, for example. So they go back to school and to college and they tell teachers and colleagues. And so we are earning step by step, very slowly, earning a reputation where they are more interested in hearing about what we do. So it's going to take a lot of time, but we don't have any rush. But what we're seeing is that now they are inviting us to some events that they run in the university, and they are interested in some topics that we propose. This is working very, very well. So if you have the chance to reach your nearest university, in general, I'm talking to anyone who might be watching us, and you have a company or you can offer something, or perhaps you have an NGO or some kind of organization that can sign the papers. You can take the students and build a relationship with the institutions that in the long term, I think is going to be good for everyone.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would definitely want to do that. I think a few years back I reached out to the university that I finished in Bucharest, and I wanted to train something like this. So not necessarily, I didn't want money. I didn't want anything, just to give me some time and maybe some people that would be interested to find out what's the real world in software development, opposed to what they learn there, like programming languages and algorithms and so on. And they were like, give me all the material for the whole year up front. I want to see it up front, to see everything that you're gonna see. Okay, I'm not gonna do that.
So that would be the same here for a lecture. If you want to propose to be a lecture or of some kind, but to take the students, at least in here, they just want want you to be a real company, that where people are going to be safe and are really paying your employees, and that you are a true not a group of friends, let's say. And that's all you need in here. Of course, they are going to ask for a final essay to students on how they did and what they learned. You can help them with that. So something we do with the students is that we encourage them to open up a blog, even to buy their own domain, the namesorname.com, for example, and to start working on their personal brand from day one. So open up a blog and then start writing about what you learn. Don't worry too much about the quality of your posts. Just do it consistently every week. And with that, they develop a small portfolio. And on top of that, they can work on some open source then they can show the code later. And this is great for the people to grow.
Yeah, so basically that's the mentorship that you provide for them. I think there is, depending on the country, some country require this by law, let's say, to have apprentices. Some require students to go through an apprenticeship before finishing university. But quite often, I think, at least in Romania, this is like a kind of a fake thing. You just go somewhere, someone makes a signature, and then it's fine. You've stayed there for 3 months. Unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people take it too seriously.
So they don't take the students like cheap workers.
Yes, probably. But even the students,
that used to happen here.
Yeah.
Quite often. Like we need to organize the library. Okay, let's call the apprentices. So we need somebody to do the coffee.
Yeah. It's not only that, but it's especially companies that have extremely complex systems. It's obvious that they cannot work on that. So your approach to having open source, that's a lot more simpler and natural, I guess. But also students, I think, don't take this apprenticeship seriously. They feel it's like school. This is
True.
This is the, I think, how it happened until now, and they feel it's a burden, so they want to pass through it and get hired somewhere and make some money.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, the first years, it was kind of like that. We were very lucky that some teachers recommended us when we were unknown in the local community as a company. But then we start developing a reputation that is also charming for students. And that's actually what you have to do. You have to be charming for the teachers and the students, so that what is happening now is that the teachers are choosing the students that are going to be with us. So they don't want to send us as anyone, but they want to send someone that they know is going to work well from home, because we work remote most of the time, and that they are disciplined and want to learn. And that's obviously not very easy to find, but it's great that the teachers are already with this filter.
Yeah, that's very important. I think you need openness from all the sides, and from the companies, like what you're doing, for the university, from the students, and this way you can make it happen. And it's great. I think people need to understand how important this is at starting your career. I think it's maybe a lot more important than money, knowing how to start.
Definitely, if you are starting, what you want to do is to learn. You don't want. Well, now with the COVID, things are gonna change, and people need to work urgently. I believe it's gonna happen in the upcoming months, because probably the family, they are all unemployed. So if they are finishing college, they need to get money as soon as possible. That's a different situation that we need to get prepared for, and where we are going to learn a lot. But previously, the interesting thing is that they want to learn, not that they want to get hired.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're almost 1 hour into our conversation. Would you have anything else to add about what you're doing? That we didn't cover yet?
I think we are done.
Okay, so then thank you very much for taking this time to chat with me.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Like this hour flew, the time flew.
Yes, exactly. Likewise here. And I really enjoy that we were gonna see each other in a few weeks at the ITCAN conference about raising the bar. I'm very curious to see what you're going to share about there. So I leave you to this. Until next time, don't forget to think, design, and work smart.